In this video, we'll hammer texture home. So texture hammers are a great way of creating kind of an organic texture on your metalwork. It's something that you would do earlier on in a piece because you really need a solid surface like an anvil to hit against, because of the large surface area of the faces of the texture hammers really require a lot of additional force than, say, a small letter stamp or something like that. There's two main ways of getting your textures into the face of a hammer. One is just taking a regular hammer and grinding into it with abrasive tools. So these would have to be abrasives in with a kind of a stone, not a cutting tool, but an abrasive tool. And so that'll grind into the surface of the hammerhead. You need to do this rather than any sort of other metal carving tools, because the hammerheads are hardened in a way, and so it's really going to just destroy any metal tools that you try and go in there and cut with. Now, if you didn't have these tools or wanted to get different types of textures into the face of the texture hammer, you could take the hammerhead off, anneal it, which will remove any kind of hardening that's as part of the hammerhead, and then you can stamp into the face of the hammer, carve into it. This particular texture hammer was made by hammering into a heavily rusted piece of steel to get that kind of organic texture in there. And then you can go back in and harden the hammer so that it'll retain that texture that you've formed into the face of it. So once you have your hammer face the way that you want it, you want to have your piece of metal against a solid bench block or anvil or something like that. It's going to take significantly more force because of the large area of the hammer, but I'll take this one where I've carved slight hemispherical impressions into it. You want to make sure your piece is secure and that you're not going to hit your hand. And just start going to town. So it'll naturally overlap, and so yes, you'll get some of those circles, but then the circles will hammer over other raised circles that you've hammered into it, and it'll start creating just a very kind of organic and unique texture based on the forms that have been carved into the hammer. And let me show you the one where I've carved little slashes into it, and that'll be a little bit different. And you can, combine these textures, have several different hammers and start overlapping them, and really just start playing with them, and they can just be a really great, unique texture that you can incorporate into other elements of your work. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can hear from me when I post future videos. Thanks for stopping by.